What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Busy Life Podcast. My name is Julie, and today we're going to be talking about anxiety. This is a part two of a previous episode I've done called All About Anxiety, where I've told you guys about my history with anxiety, what anxiety is, how it affects me, how it affects a lot of us. And today is a continuation of that episode. That episode is one of the few that got the most amount of support and love back. So I knew it was time to come up with part two. And coincidentally, my life had started to become a little more anxious anyway. So I figured it was a good time to come on and talk about everything that's been going on in my life and some new strategies I've been implementing and really why they work for me. Before we do that, though, I want to say hello. I've noticed we've got some new followers, some new faces here. So I just want to say hi. My name is Julie. I am a special education teacher, previous general education classroom teacher. I'm also a certified personal trainer, nutrition coach, and women's health and fitness specialist. So I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a professional in any of those areas. I'm just your friend here giving you advice based on what the research says, based on what I've been through, based on what my doctors and therapists say. And my goal here is really just to let you know that you're not alone. I like to share my stories with you guys because they make me feel like I'm not alone. And hearing the support I get back from you guys is very comforting. It helps me to know that my anxiety is quite simply just my anxiety. It's not something that I should be, paying, not that I shouldn't be paying more attention to it, but it's not something that's defining me. It's something that is on my mind, or it's something that's just in the moment, or it's just temporary. So, with that being said, I share my stories because I like it when you guys share your stories. I like feeling like I'm a part of a community, which is why I created this podcast. I wanted to create a safe space for those people who struggle with quite literally anything. This podcast is called The Busy Life because we all have busy lives and we all need to make time to take care of ourselves, regardless of what you've got going on. Your health matters, you matter, and you need to make sure that you're not pouring from an empty cup. So, with that being said, let me go right into my story. Speaking of feeling like I was pouring from an empty cup, let's just say this school year has not been, this school year has been harder than my past 3 school years have been so far. When I think of this school year, and I know my coworkers will agree when they listen to this, it feels like herding elephants. I don't know what it is. I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys being like, do you think it's the pandemic? Do you think it's the stay at home parents? I don't know what it is. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have no idea what it is. I'm sure some of it is the pandemic. I'm sure some of it is stay at home parents that get tired and they don't have the energy anymore to be either disciplining their kids or spending the quality time with their kids because all they had to do was help their kids on Zoom, or now they have to be home all day. I don't know what it is. I'm not judging any of the parents. I'm not judging any of the students. I just know that it's hard. It's hard for us teachers. I know it's hard for the parents too. I know it's hard for the students too. I mean, just so that you guys can get kind of like a picture of this before I get started, these kindergartners need to come in already knowing how to write and how to read and how to do math. And for some of them whose parents did not know that pre-K was an option or that daycare was an option, they don't know that stuff. I work in a Title I school, so it's a lower income community. And those families specifically may not know about it unless you tell them. And that's not fair. And that's not to say that a not so low income community would know either. So to expect so much of these kids already is really hard. And also, pre K in our school is half day. So to have them go from half day to then be able to do a full day when they're still only 5. I look, I know it depends. I know some people can say, "Look, you're already 5, you need to get up, get over it." But then in other people's eyes, it's you're only 5. I see both ends and I don't really care which one it is. I just know that it's hard. This year is hard. We've got larger class sizes, we've got stressed out teachers, we've got kids arguing, we've got teachers arguing. It's hard. So, when I'm at school, I have to give so much energy, and my teacher friends will understand. You have to give so much energy to those kids because they need it, and that's your job. But then for some of us, we come home to your own kids, and you have to give now your kids the time and energy. I don't have kids right now, but I would be lying if I said I'm not nervous to have kids, because this is something I've never really shared publicly, but I'm really scared to have kids. I really am. And I want to be a mom so badly. But I know that I have anxiety, and I know that my job is stressful. And I'm not saying that somebody else's job is not stressful. I'm sure there is mothers, fathers, parents, guardians out there that are not teachers that feel the exact same way, because I see what happens when my students go home and I hear the stories when they come back and they're like, oh, yeah, mom just gave me the iPad. Well, you know what? Sometimes mom has to just give you the iPad. Sometimes mommy is tired. And I feel like I'm already feeling all those things right now, and I don't even have kids. I just come home and I'm so thankful that have I've mustered enough energy to go work out. And then I recently have just been thinking, oh my God, could you imagine if you go home and you had kids? And I know that that's not what it's all about. I know I shouldn't be looking at it from that perspective, but that's what I've been thinking recently. They're not bad thoughts, they're not wrong or incorrect. They're just the thoughts that I've been having recently. And like I said, this is a safe space. This is a judgment-free zone. So I need you guys to do the same as you listen to these stories, because these are very personal stories that I'm choosing to share with you, but I know that you will be able to connect with me on them. So, besides work being a little stressful, that then impacts my workouts. Because I've been more tired, I've been chasing around more kids, we've been toilet training some kids, we've been constantly going on walks with some kids. It's tiring. It's physically tiring just as much as it is mentally tiring. So I come to the gym now and I'm tired. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to deadlift today. And I really wanted to do lat pull downs today. And normally I can do lat pull downs at about 100 pounds, but I'm going to go down to 85 because I'm tired. Or you know what? Normally I can deadlift 150, but today, honestly, 100 pounds sounds great. It's really hard not to be down on yourself for that. And I know in my core that it does not matter how much weight I lift. I know that. But I'm angry because I want to lift heavy. I want to pick up the heavy shit and put it down. I love going to the gym, but I know I need to do what my body needs me to do. And if that means that workout has to be lighter, and that the past 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks have had to be lighter workouts, that's fine. You got to do what you got to do. We go through different phases. This is one of those phases. So, workouts haven't been exactly what I've wanted. I've felt good, but I've been known to feel better. Work is tiring. I'm feeling family pressure because we got married in June. Ryan and I are married. We have our own condo. We have our dogs. Naturally, the next thing you do is have kids. I want to, but I'm not ready yet. I really, really want to be a mom, but I don't want to have them right now. And there's that stress that you hear from some people. Oh, but you don't want to have them when you're too old. Oh, but you know what? You got to get on that, because don't you want to be around for a majority of their lives? I mean, why do these people say these things? You are not helping A, anybody, or B, especially somebody with anxiety. I'm just saying. You guys, we got to be careful about the things that we say to other people because you might mean well, but intention is different than perception. Our intentions need to be clear, and we need to make sure that when people perceive them differently, we clarify. And even if they still perceive them differently, that's not anything you can do. But still, these few people who have been saying these things to me, their intention is they're trying to push me to get pregnant. And I get it. I'm 28, according to, I think what's the new term for it now? It's advanced maternal pregnancy, something like that. It's not a geriatric pregnancy. Now you're advanced. Well, thank goodness. But I think that's after age 35, which is insane because I just feel like I feel like I've just started living. I'm 28 and I finally flew out of the country by myself this year to Mexico. I've got another trip planned next weekend to go do something I've always wanted to do. I mean, I've got all these things now that I'm doing now. And again, I would love to share these moments with a kid. But the bottom line is I'm just not ready. And that should be enough. It really should. But it's not for some people. And you just have to say, sorry, not sorry, because it's really not up to other people. It's up to you. So let's just sum this all up. I've been a lot of stressed. I've been stressed for a lot of different reasons, managing it for sure, but it's been consistent. We've also had some health struggles going on in my family, nothing really major, just, little minor scares like, oh, somebody found a lump, or oh, somebody's got this, or oh, someone has to go get a scan, or, whatever. Knock on wood, and thank goodness, everything has been amazing, but those are scary. I've been doing allergy shots, and every time I go, they make you sit for 30 minutes. And for somebody with anxiety, those 30 minutes are not a fun time because the entire 30 minutes, anytime you feel anything, you're like, oh my gosh, okay, do I take Benadryl or do I take out the EpiPen? I mean, it's crazy. And I can laugh at it now because right now I'm in a good headspace. But when you're in your anxious headspace, that is not a fun space to be in. So it's been really hard to find those gaps in the day that are not anxious gaps, especially when so many of the other gaps in my day are filled with anxiety, whether it's mild or a lot more than mild. I don't want to say severe because thankfully, one thing I have not had recently is, and I'm not trying to jinx myself, is a panic attack. Those are no fun. Please check out my first episode, all about anxiety, where I talk about my panic attacks. And then I have an episode with my husband, Ryan, where he talks about what it was like watching me have panic attacks. And he had never known that anxiety could be that bad. To him, it was just a feeling that you have. Like, you can be happy, you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be anxious. Like, it was just a feeling. And he didn't get why I couldn't just take a deep breath and calm down. So definitely check out those episodes if you haven't done that yet. But it felt like it had hit a point recently where it was just a little bit more than I'm used to handling. I also have a therapist. I'm very open about that. I absolutely love my therapist. I've been seeing her for a couple years now. I had a really bad experience with a therapist in college. She kind of just told me, sorry, not sorry, you just got to take some meds. And I was like, I mean, I'm not against that, but there's really nothing else you can say. um, and this therapist I have now, she is just such a joy in my life. I genuinely enjoy our sessions. I have always left a session feeling so supported. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that you reach out to your doctors and ask them for recommendations for therapists that are covered by your insurance. If you don't have insurance or you don't have a doctor you trust, there's definitely apps and resources out there that are available to you guys. And if you need any of them, just let me know. My inbox is always a safe space, but I highly recommend a therapist. There is such stigma behind therapy, and that if you need a therapist, you must need some serious help. You know what? I wish I had a therapist even before I was diagnosed with my anxiety disorder. I wonder what my life would have been like if I had a therapist earlier. Talking to my therapist is just like talking to a friend. And that's part of the reason why I made this podcast, like I said earlier. I just want you guys to have a safe space because I know how important that safe space is to me. And I know finding that sometimes can come with judgment. I know that people make comments, as I've mentioned earlier. But I also want you to know that you're not alone. And I'm going to keep saying that in this episode because you're not. So I talked to my therapist and I was like, look, I don't know what it is, but recently the world just feels heavier than it used to be. I know there's phases of life when that happens. I know there's times when that's just to be expected. I know we all go through good and bad times. And this is just one of those times where the world is heavy and I'm not really sure what to do right now. So she mentions to me a lot of different strategies that I can try. She says, first thing she says is, how's your diet? And I said, well, because I've been a little bit more stressed, I've definitely leaned towards some more sugar than I should be. Sugar, guys, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. I am never going to tell you to not have sugar because I will never not have sugar. I freaking love cupcakes. Cupcakes are life. A good moist cake. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I love a birthday cake. I love any ice cream. I love sweets. I do. I will never, ever, ever tell you to not eat something. Ever. That is not what I'm allowed to do as a nutrition coach. And that's not what I would let myself do just based on my own values. What I will say, though, is that the more frequently that we eat sugar, and this is not a Julie thought, this is based on research. The more frequently we eat sugar, refined carbs, processed foods, alcohol, all those things that we know we should be having in moderation, every time we eat those, we alter our gut microbiome. Now you're like, what the hell is that? Your gut is basically like your second brain. And there's a lot of research behind this. Your gut sends signals to your brain. And when you're not fueling your body properly, your brain is not getting the correct messages. So, yes, when she asked me, what have you been eating recently? A light bulb went off. We tend to go to all the comfort foods because they're the most appealing in the stores and they taste so good and they bring us memories of fond times when we're not anxious. And that's not a bad thing at all. Food should bring people together and it should bring happy memories. But do you really want to be eating all of that all the time? No, I know you don't. I know you want to feel your best. And I know that feeling your best comes with some sacrifices sometimes. Like I said, I am not telling you guys to ever eliminate a food group unless you are deathly allergic to it or unless you have seriously bad reactions to it. But I will tell you that the food we eat directly impacts our anxiety or depression. It can affect any part of your mental health because what you eat goes into your gut microbiome and it sends signals to the brain and it tells your brain, uh-oh, or oh my gosh, or ah! So be mindful of what you eat because your food is like the gas you put in a car. You got to put the right gasoline in. Sometimes you can splurge and have the other kind, but you mostly need to be putting in what you need to be having. So the first thing she asked me about was my food. Second thing she asked me about was my water intake. And I'm sure some of you guys are hearing this and being like, well, duh, you're supposed to drink all the water. But are you? because I have not been. I have been chasing little kids in school. I have been constantly doing work on my computer to the point where I forget to get up and refill my water. And then I go to drink it and it's empty and I just say, oh, well, and I put it down. That's bad. We got to be drinking our water. We got to stay hydrated. The reason she asked me about that was because I actually said I started to notice I was feeling dizzy. And I was just so stressed that it was making me dizzy. And that can happen. So find a cute water bottle, fill it up, connect it to your leggings or whatever. I was going to say jeans, but honestly, do we wear jeans anymore? No. Connect it to your purse, your backpack, whatever. Bring your water bottle with you everywhere. I promise, I promise, I promise. It's insane how much of a difference you notice in your mood just based on if you're hydrated or not. Because that also keeps everything moving throughout your body, which keeps a healthy blood flow to the brain. So keep that in mind. The other thing she asked me about was, how's your exercise going? Like, how's your exercise routine? I said, it's good. It's consistent. It is one of the most consistent parts of my life. And it's really what keeps me grounded. I know for a lot of people, having a consistent exercise routine is the hardest thing. And I don't know why, but for me, it's not. I think it's because when I found exercise, I was in a really dark place and it really saved me. I looked in the mirror one day and I just said, who is that? I did not recognize myself. I had let myself go and I just started. There was no magic pill, no magic shake, no magic coach, no magic trainer, nothing. I just decided it was time. Nobody had to tell me, even though I had been told many times in the past that, oh, you really got to lose weight. Oh, Julie, your belly's sticking out a little bit. Oh, Julie, you're going to grow wings on those arms. I've heard it. It's hurtful. I mean, seriously, no wonder I have anxiety. And no wonder so many people in this world have anxiety and depression and mental health issues because listen to the comments that people make about us. What the hell? However, I didn't let them define me. I said, you know what? I'm going to do this for myself. I don't feel good in my body, and that's not fair because my body is my home. And I want to look at myself every day and be so proud of the person I see. I don't need to see abs. I don't need to see the tiniest arms. I don't need to see the biggest butt. I don't need to see any of those physical things, either no acne or the longest, curliest, prettiest hair. None of that mattered. What mattered is that I just wanted to look in the mirror and be proud of who I saw. So I started exercising. And that's been so consistent. But like I said, I just wasn't lifting as much as I wanted to. I was going for a lot more walks than I thought I would be, which is not a bad thing at all. I love a good hot girl walk, especially with a friend, where we can just talk and vent about our day, or even by myself, where I listen to a podcast, I listen to some music, whatever I need to do. It's my me time. It's my time to reset and recharge. So she said, okay, you got that down. Are you sleeping okay? I said, no. I have insomnia, which I'm sure is somehow linked to my anxiety. I need to take ZzzQuil at night or melatonin. On a rare occasion, I can fall asleep without it, but recently, sometimes even the melatonin will wear off and I'll wake up in the middle of the night to pee. I mean, whatever it is, you name it, it's not fun. So she said to me, you know what? I don't think it would hurt if you wanted to call your doctor. Maybe you could try some different medication. Maybe she has some new ideas for you. Let me know what she says and I'm happy to help you. So I'm not the biggest fan of the doctor. I think if you can tell, with my anxiety, something that comes with it is white coat syndrome. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that just means that you just are scared of going to the doctor. Which is funny because I just had an episode out recently about why you need to be going to the doctor. And I fully agree with that version of myself that recorded that episode. You do need to go to the doctor. It's important to go to the doctor. However, I don't enjoy going to the doctor, and I think those two things can coexist. I do have a very good relationship with my doctors. I've been going to the same ones for a while. I know a lot of people can't say that or because they've moved or their doctors have retired or whatever it is. Um, but I've been going to my few doctors for a long time and they know me pretty well. So I call one of my doctors and I just tell her, I'm like, you know what? My anxiety is just, it's just not where it is right now. Or it's not where I want it to be. And I want to know if you have any suggestions. This isn't like a I went in, I wasted her time, whatever. Like I just called her because we're at that level. Whoops. And she said to me something that kind of hurt. And I need you to hear me out before I say this. But she said to me, I don't know, Julie. It just doesn't sound like it's working for you. Maybe you need a psychiatrist. And coming from somebody who fully supports getting all of the help you can for your mental health, something about that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know why. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you why. I have been working so damn hard to better myself, to understand my anxiety, to manage it, and to know that it's not like a cold that kind of comes and goes after a couple weeks. It's a part of me. It's the way that I am. I've been like this for a very long time. And I am so proud of the person I see in the mirror because of the work I've put in. And something about that comment made me feel like she didn't see any of that work. And you know what? She doesn't have to. She's just my doctor. Yes, I just said you should have a good relationship with your doctor. I like my doctors. I've seen my doctors for a long time. But I had to take a moment to not let that comment make my anxiety worse. And I know this is kind of touchy. I've got a lot of friends who have psychiatrists and therapists. But you know what I'm talking about. When you've been working so hard at something and you just wanted a little bit of advice and you get that comment back that's just kind of like, I don't care. I don't know. Go find somebody else. It hurts. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive. Maybe I'm stigmatizing even my own anxiety. I don't know. All I know is that that was just the wrong place and the wrong time to be asking her. She was clearly not in a point where she wanted to listen. She was kind of dismissive. She told me she'd been feeling sick, and I understand because I also am currently sick. I have COVID. I'm on day 3 of quarantine, which also doesn't help with my anxiety. But I guess the point, what I'm trying to say, is that when you have anxiety, sometimes there's just things that people say and things that people do, and they do not mean to hurt you, and they don't mean to harm you. And if they did, then shame on them. But if they didn't, I mean, it's not going to hurt to get a psychiatrist if I really want to. I'm all for mental health support and growing and understanding what my anxiety is like. I mean, I learn more and more about myself every day. But you know what? Sometimes there's just days and times when people say things and it's just not the right time. So, what I did about it, first, I got really upset. I was like, how dare she think I need a psychiatrist after all the work I've put in? This isn't my first rodeo. I know what I'm doing. I don't need another doctor to tell me what to do. It's not about, it's not anything towards a psychiatrist that made me mad. I I was just mad that it felt like she was just pawning off my anxiety to something else. And it was just making me, therefore, more stressed. Then I took a moment and I reflected and I thought back to, 2015, Julie. When I was in college, I was getting C's and D's. I just wanted to get through school. I did not like school. I did not enjoy school. I was very happy being a B student. I never looked in the mirror because I did not like what I saw. I've always been self conscious about my stomach. That's just where I tend to hold more fat. And I mean, gosh, I was just such a different person. And I think to who I am now, 2023 Julie, who is so different. Not that the grades mattered that much, but I got straight A's throughout my entire master's program. I started hitting the gym not because I wanted to have abs, but because I wanted to be able to recognize the person I saw in the mirror. I started to journal. I have a gratitude journal that I write 3 things down every morning that I'm grateful for because it keeps me grounded. And there are people and things and opportunities that make me feel seen and safe. And I think to myself, Julie, this isn't about that. You have grown so much. And you can't let people's words and comments like that totally derail you, especially when you're already going through so much. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's okay for the world to be heavy. It's going to be. Maybe you don't need a doctor to tell you, now you just need to go to another doctor. Maybe you need to look in to yourself. Maybe you need to just say, hey, and talk to your younger self. Think back to what you used to be like and how far you've actually come. I know a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I really haven't. I've wanted to be able to drive since I was 15 and now I'm 32 and I still can't drive." Okay? That's one thing. But what are some other things you've done? I guarantee you there is something that you have done in your life that you deserve to be proud of. I guarantee it. And if there genuinely isn't for some reason, then now's the time to start. Now is the time to put your foot forward and start the damn thing. It can be one day or day one. That is a famous quote out there that many people abide by, including myself. And I can confidently say I am not at day one of proving to myself that my anxiety does not define me. I am on year, however many years it is, but it's a constant battle. Proving to yourself that you're not your anxiety or your depression or your suicidal thoughts or whatever it is that you're going through. You are so much more than that, and you do not deserve to be made less of or to feel less of just because somebody was having a bad day or just because you're going through a rough patch. You're allowed to feel anxious. You're allowed to feel low and tired and exhausted. They are human emotions, and we need to feel those in order to appreciate the others. But what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to live there. So I then reached out to my therapist and I told her I was really hurt by that comment. It kind of just felt like she was dismissing me. She didn't give me any credit towards all the work that I've done. She didn't give me any advice other than maybe just go see another doctor. Maybe your problem, and this is how I took it, maybe your problem just isn't solved yet. Maybe you're just not working hard enough. And that's what it felt like. And my therapist said to me, actually, I see the total opposite. I think if you would like a psychiatrist, go for it. I think if you don't want one, that's fine too. I think you have more power within yourself than you think you have. And I think it's time you start to make yourself aware of it. I think it's time to talk to the anxious version of yourself and say, hey, we don't have to be like this right now. Or, hey, is this really that big of a deal right now? And if it does feel like it is, that's okay too. Write it down. Write a letter to yourself. Dear Julie, right now life feels really heavy. I'm going through a lot at work. We've got a lot of things going on at home, and it's hard to find a time to just breathe. Hopefully, when you read this message in the future, things won't be so heavy. Love, Julie. And then read it back one day and be like, wow, that's great. Because now I've moved on and I've moved forward. And you know what? Sometimes it's still heavy, but you can just remind yourself of the strength that you've got, that you've pushed through, because life is going to be hard. There's going to be times where you don't know what to do, or where you panic, or where something scary happens, or when you're really sad and you're afraid of losing someone. That's part of life. But it's not the whole part. It's just one. Life is like a roller coaster. It ebbs and it flows. And it's time for you to release whatever you've got going on and let it flow. Another thing that really helps me is just trusting that it's going to get better. No matter what you believe in, either the universe, God, a higher power, whatever you believe in, whoever you believe in, put some faith there. Have faith. You know, my dad always says, keep the faith. And a perfect story of this is on my wedding day, it was supposed to rain the entire day. Some people love that. I even had a friend tell me, oh my God, look, you can get the coolest pictures if it rains. I did not give a shit. It was not allowed to rain on my wedding day. I don't care if it's good luck. I don't care if you get cool pictures. I specifically picked the venue I picked because I wanted it to be outside. It is not going to rain. And maybe I hardcore manifested that. But guess what? It rained a little bit. And my dad kept saying, Julie, keep the faith. Julie, keep the faith. If you really want something, you need to speak it into the universe. Keep the faith. It's not going to rain all day on your wedding. And he was right. In fact, it stopped raining. Actually, you know what? It was pouring during our ceremony. Pouring. And our ceremony was inside a church. And then after, we walked out and it was as if it never rained. It was wet, but not a cloud in the sky. And then you know what else happened? We had a rainbow at the very end of the day. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that. Keep the faith, guys. No matter what you're going through, people are going to say shit. You're going to get offended. The world's going to feel heavy. You know the tools. You know what you need to do. And now it's time to look in the mirror and start believing in yourself. Start giving yourself credit where you deserve it. And also start being aware of the areas that you could be doing better in. Because nobody is perfect. Your anxiety could get worse. Your depression could get worse. Your suicidal thoughts could get worse. But they could also get better. you can also get better and you can do better. I love you guys so much. I know this was a little bit of a heavier episode, but this is where life is right now for me. I hope this resonated with you. Please give us all the ratings. We love seeing what you guys have to say, and we love all the feedback. I appreciate it so, so, so much. And I just want you guys to know that you got this. I'm here for you. Like I said, my inbox is always an open, safe space, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.